All right, today I'm very excited about this one. We're going to be interviewing today Dr. Ryan Hall, who is the deputy athletic director slash COO of Georgia Southern. Ryan, just two Ryans talking today. How are we?
Doing great, man. Excited to be here with you, Ryan, and always excited to give back and talk about my journey. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. And yours is definitely unique compared to the others that I've had the pleasure of talking to, and just unique in general of where you are in your position. And I'm excited to jump into your career and kind of pick your brain today.
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
All right, so 15 years in athletics, and seven or eight of those to be in college athletics. We'll kind of mention what that background was, but
Yeah.
you've had stops at, right now at Georgia Southern, Rice, and Northwestern State in collegiate athletics, and then just and Mayville State. So kind of give me that rundown of that process, and then something exciting kind of to start your career.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So, originally from Central Virginia, Louisa County, which is right between Richmond and Charlottesville, Virginia. Grew up there and did my undergrad at a small D3. Played 4 years college soccer at Ferrum College, and I got my master's from VCU. Ryan, I knew I wanted to coach at that time, but I didn't know what else I wanted to do. So, doing my research when I was probably around your age, just trying to figure it all out. I got really lucky after some really good internships at VCU through the Center for Sport Leadership, an amazing master's program. I was fortunate enough to become the head wrestling coach at Benedictine College Prep. I was an assistant coach while I was getting my master's at a big public school, Deep Run High School in the west end of Richmond, but got my first full gig as a head wrestling coach 2009. And I was not, so Benedictine was looking for a head wrestling coach. I was not able to get in there full time. So my first job out actually was doing radio sales for ESPN Radio in Richmond, which was absolutely awesome. Love that. That was kind of my first taste of getting after it and getting to the grindstone and working hard and sales, right? So did a really good job there, set a few records there, and became head wrestling coach Benedictine. Again, my passion was coaching. I knew I wanted to coach. That first year, we were not amazing by any means, but we had a full team, and that was a big deal for Benedictine, who had really struggled from a wrestling front during that time. And I'd always told the AD at the time, one of my first mentors, John Fogarty, that I'd love to be in here full time. I love this school, all boys Catholic military day school, so quite the conglomerate. A lot of different walks of life under the same roof. So I really enjoyed that. Told him I'd love being here full time. Got in there year two, and I was assistant AD. Started running summer camps for him. Kind of got that off the ground while still coaching wrestling and also a little bit of soccer. So fast forward, did that for a few years, and then my goal was to be a high school AD and head wrestling coach, and things were rolling at Benedictine. Continued to get better every year. Really started, cranking up the heat in the kitchen a little bit, if you will, each season from
Yeah.
a competitive standpoint, from a practice standpoint, that kind of thing. And I'll never forget Jesse Graves, president of Benedictine Schools of Richmond now, and very close friend of mine now, former boss. I'll never forget when he took me to lunch. I was actually interviewing for a couple other really nice private AD jobs in Virginia. And he said he brought me to lunch with him and John, and he told me he kind of not beat around the bush, but was kind of explaining to me what was going on the academic side. And I'm listening. He said, "Coach, when we get to the point, and I'll never forget it. It was one of the best days of my life to this day." He said, "Coach, I want you to be the athletic director at the most prolific and prestigious high school athletic program in the state of Virginia." And I was in shock. It still gives me goosebumps to this day. It was awesome. And
It's
I
awesome.
looked at John, who was the AD. I said, "John, are you serious?" And John said, "Yeah, Chief, you're ready, right?" And I was super young. John became the head of the math department, and still coached and was heavily involved. I still leaned on John, obviously, quite a bit with all of his experience. But yeah, man, at the ripe old age of 26, maybe, I became AD at a really powerhouse, great institution, academic and athletic. So did that. That was first year we won a state championship in wrestling. First one school history. Just had great kids, surrounded by great people, both my teams and people around me. Greg Lilly, Jesse Graves, John Fogerty. It was such a special place and still is today, and had a lot of success, not only as a head wrestling coach and 4 straight state championships and a top 10 finish at the prep national tournament, but also our baseball team was state champs, basketball was state champs. Coach Lilly and the football team was state champs multiple times. And so we were really, we had a swimmer, Townley Haas, who ended up swimming in Texas and was and swam in the Olympics and was on the 4x team with Michael Phelps.
Nice.
So
Nice.
we were rocking and rolling, right? Things were really good. My wife and I, we have 4 children now. We had 2 at the time, living great. It didn't have really any other wants. This is it. We're planting our roots and things were good. And then, after 5 years of truly, improving and doing a lot of helping that school do a lot of great things along with a bunch of great people, I came home to her and said, honey, I can do this at the highest level. And she was like, she's a nurse, way brighter than me. And she was saying to me, she's like, well, coaching or AD, because she knew I had a passion for both. And I said, I'll miss coaching, but I love all sports. I love making an impact for student athletes, and I want to do it at the highest level. You only get one shot at life. And so we talked about it and prayed about it. And a couple of days later, she's like, all right, I believe in you. Where are we going? I said, I don't know. I got to throw my resume out there. And so long story short, I did and got really fortunate to be a final candidate, ultimately earned the job of becoming the athletic director at Mayville State University, which is a small NAIA public institution in the state system in North Dakota. We didn't know anything about the Midwest. We didn't know anything about North Dakota. She's from Memphis, Tennessee. I'm from Virginia. But one of the things that you'll probably hear me say a lot through this is that people make the place. And that was really hard for me to leave everything I've ever come to know. Very successful career as a high school AD with a lot of, runway, if you will, in the future, to leave all that and leave family, to chase a dream, if you will. And so I did. And again, got to work with some really great people. Dr. Brian Van Horn, who's still president of Mayville State, not only a phenomenal leader and boss, but a good friend of mine to this day. I'm not going to bore you, but we did a lot of awesome things there. From revenue generation, from a development side, saw dollars that just hadn't been there before. Sure. Logistically, we got softball on campus for the first time in school history. We did a lot of good things. Hired an awesome football coach who is now also the AD there, and a good buddy of mine, Rocky Larson, who's doing a phenomenal job. But the people make the place, and that community is best of the best. I still have a lot of good friends there who I talk to regularly. So I was AD there for 3 years, but again, things were great, but want to continue to climb and continue to climb to the highest level. And from there, went to Northwestern State down in Louisiana. My opportunity to break into Division I, if you will. Mm-hmm. And started out there leading the development shop, and then ultimately became the associate AD of all external. Broke records there development-wise, and a very small shop, but got to learn under Greg Burke, legendary AD that was there for a long time and very successful, and surrounded by great coaches and great folks there. And then I was there for a year and a half. Ultimately wanted to get to the FBS level. It's just a goal of mine. One of my mentors, told me to apply to Rice University. Tim Lampy, a big mentor of mine at VCU in Richmond, Virginia, and I'll never forget. I said, Tim, I don't know about Rice. That school's pretty off the charts academically. I just don't know if I'd be a great fit there. And he politely told me and said, Ryan, you'll be raising money there, not going to school there. And I laughed, but when I tell you some of the brightest and doing it at the highest level, Rice University embodied that, and it was awesome. I got to work under Tanner Gardner and Joe Carlgard originally. Mm-hmm. Again, just phenomenal leaders. Tanner is he's definitely one of my best friends now. He's now the AD at Pepperdine, but got to learn so much from them, and they poured into me so much. We had an awesome time at Rice, and set some records on the development side. I was head of development there. And then also, Joe ultimately during that time, it was time of transition. I was, settling in there great. And then Joe Carlgard decided to retire shortly after. After he retired, Tommy McClellan, another phenomenal leader and phenomenal man, came in to be the athletic director. And Tanner, shortly after that, became the AD at Pepperdine. So got to work under Tommy McClellan for a short time, but an awesome time. Got to see how he ran a department. He was the youngest AD in America at one time. In fact, I joke around with, I think he became the AD at Louisiana Tech in his like mid to early 20s or something. And that's a funny story if you ever get a chance to talk to him. But, being able to learn there as well and continue to grow was a huge deal. And, I remember actually when I was at Benedictine, this is complete truth here, just kind of, as my mind started to turn, like, this is awesome. I wonder if I can do this at a higher level. And I remember researching, like, who's the youngest Division I AD in America? And sure enough, I didn't know anything about him. It was Tommy McClellan. And then full circle, I got to work with Tommy for a little bit. And I told him that story. And he was like, Tommy's a very, very humble dude. He just kind of said, yeah, you're probably like, this guy can do it. I can do it.
Yeah.
But he's a phenomenal leader. And things were awesome at Rice. I was there for almost 3 years. And then a good buddy of mine who I just met through conferences, 80s for Christ, which is a faith-based organization of senior leaders in the athletic space and college athletics. And then through other conference, NACTA and CALS, which are, just big networking opportunities to continue to grow and learn. Became close to Chris Davis as a great friend. And, when he got the AD job here at Georgia Southern, obviously I congratulated him. Well-deserved, awesome leader. Really excited about what we're doing here now. But he gave me a call and he called a few folks and wanted to, gauge my interest to come here and be his number two. I know he had called a few folks, but, again, people make the place. And as hard as it was to leave Rice to continue to grow my career and work under somebody who I know is a great individual and a great leader while timing wasn't the best, and Rice continues to do great things, I was fired up to get here and make my impact at Georgia Southern. So that's a little long-winded, but I've been here for 6 months and work obviously right alongside Chris and learning from him and under his leadership as his number two and deputy AD and CO.
No, for sure. That's just a very fulfilling career, like right there, and you're still on your way to whatever's next. That's just a crazy journey because you don't hear a lot about high school athletic directors or people at the high school level kind of make that jump to college. You kind of either see them just stay at the high school level for the rest of their career, or just kind of do something in that aspect and not really make that jump. But it's phenomenal how you're able to do that.
Yeah, Ryan, I think at the end of the day, man, if I had stayed as a high school AD, I'd be super happy and loving where I'm at as well.
Yeah.
It's chasing your dreams of what you want to do. And this is kind of corny, but I heard it from a coach when I was at Mayville State. The big time is where you're at, right? So you keep your feet down and love what you do every day. You don't work a day in your life. I've been blessed and fortunate that that's been my case. But my competitive edge is also, I'm a pretty competitive guy as a former head coach and that kind of thing. So, I want to try to do it at the highest level, and loving where I'm at right now.
No, for sure. And speaking of Mayville, we'll just kind of go throughout your career. I want to get some accomplishments that you've been able to do, and we'll start at Mayville State. You implemented the White Hat Club, which was the very first, I believe, sport alumni club there. Kind of talk a little bit about that and how that came to be.
Yeah, so it was the first sports-specific fundraising club, right? And Mayville, I joke around, I call it May Vegas. It's a town of about 900 people, but again, they're passionate about their Comets and they love it. And again, that community it's unbelievable. It's just such good people, and my family was so embraced. It was absolutely awesome. And so we wanted to continue to generate revenue, right? Even at the North Star Conference of the NAIA, you want to be competitive and generate as much revenue as you can. And budgets are smaller, right? At smaller schools. So just thinking, how can we continue to generate revenue? And I was sitting with my neighbor, Adam Erickson, who's a very close friend of mine to this day, a chemical crop guy and a farmer in North Dakota. And he said, it'd be cool, like if former players could just like get a helmet, And I'm like, oh, you're on to something. And I was sitting in his basement or having a beverage one night, and I looked up, and he's a big North Dakota State fan, as many people are in Mayville, right? Or even the whole state for that matter. And I saw that they had, their wheat stripe helmets that were a pretty big deal through their national championships. Forget what years they won, but I'm like, you know what would be cool to do a Mayville State one like that. And for the kids to wear, right? So if we can get those helmets done with the wheat stripe, and we had a thing called Farmers Bowl, which was a big game for us. It was kind of before everybody came, before all the farmers hit the field to farm.
Yeah.
And so, long story short, I remember Mayville's a big educational school, right? So a lot of our alumni are teachers and coaches and that kind of thing. So I called like local schools and said, "Hey, what are you doing with your deadline?" Any school that had a white helmet, I said, "What are you doing with your deadlined white helmets?" They thought I was crazy, right? Long story short, we gathered them up, we cleaned them up, myself and the staff, and we cleaned them up, and we had a deal. I had the first deal that I ever had with BSN Sports and Nike there.
Yeah.
And Tom Pichet, just an awesome rep, BSN. He was shining them up with us. And we gave a, authentic, if you will, but not usable, deadline helmet. And they could pick whatever number they wanted, whether it was their number they played or the graduation year. And so those didn't cost us anything. And we sold them to be members of the White Hat Club. And you also got like field pass. I don't remember the exact benefits, but it was a benefit program that many of us use today, right?
Yeah.
So got that going, and also had enough money to get new helmets for those guys to wear. And we were the first school in the North Star to have an alternate helmet, which was a pretty cool deal that paid homage to what Mayville State is, and how big the farming industry is there.
Yeah, no, talk about being embraced. It sounds like you just embraced what you had there and it made it the best. I have a couple notes. Your first athletic sponsorship program there. You did the first day of giving ever there.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, 5-year deal with Nike and BSN Sports. That's a huge accomplishment for a smaller school like that. And then you kind of mentioned earlier, but I was digging into it. You put a softball field on the football field. You want to go
Yeah.
into that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
softball stadium.
Yeah, so our softball team, which was very competitive, Ashley Tomlin was the head coach there. She's still there. Her husband is now the head baseball coach. But I remember one of my initial meetings with her, and just getting to know your head coaches. And I'll never forget. Towards the end of it, she looked at me. She's like, "Oh, one more thing." She was like, "I really would love to somehow figure out how to get softball on campus." And first thing I said to her, I'm like, well, to build a softball field is going to take a lot of money. Like any athletic department, there's priorities of things that have to be done. But anytime I can go to bat for my student athletes and my coaches, I'm going to do it. And so while we couldn't just build a state of the art softball program at that time, I pulled my president outside on a cold North Dakota winter day and said, just hear me out on this. And we I'd done the dimensions and had researched a couple other schools that kind of did something similar. And, we bought a temporary fence and that kind of thing. So, talked to our commissioner at the time to make sure it was regulation in the conference, because it wasn't quite Yankee Stadium in right field, but left field was a little shorter than the rest of the fence. But he said, yeah, I think it's great. I think you can do it. And I'll never forget when my president and I came out there and surprised her team, and some of them broke down into tears.
Wow.
And yeah, man, we made it happen. They had good crowds and some good wins. That was pretty special.
It's amazing the impact you could just have for doing something that small, but also that big too, and using what you got and using the fields that you had, and that is truly special. And I'm sure they'll all remember that for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely, absolutely, it was awesome.
Yeah. So then we transfer into Northwestern State as associate AD of external ops. What was that transition like? How'd you get there? Who were you talking to?
Yeah, so again, one of my mentors kind of reached out to me about it. The goal focused on where you're at, but knowing what your long-term goals are. And at this point, my wife and I, we had our third child, so the expenses were getting a little more, right? And all that good
Yeah, for
stuff.
sure.
But I went to Northwestern State just as in a development role to start, as assistant AD of development. So really took a huge step back to be honest with you. Always hung my hat on external and fundraising and relationships. And as you can tell, I'm a little bit of a talker, right?
Yeah.
So with that said, wanted to kind of break into Division One. I knew, Ryan, going from high school AD to college AD at any level would be pretty unique and hard to do. I knew it'd
Mhm.
really be hard to do to go from NAIAD to a Division One position at my age and with family and that kind of stuff. So, but you sacrifice, you believe in yourself, and you get after it. And came to Northwestern State again under Greg Burke, who just had a lot of success there and had been there a long time. So I knew it was somebody that I could pick his brain, continue to grow, continue to develop, and that happened. And set a record on the development side there that
Absolutely.
first year, and ultimately became associate AD of all external. So getting to oversee ticketing and marketing and sponsorships as well as development at the time. It wasn't easy by any means. I mean,
Mhm.
when things are bigger, also in another small town, not quite as small as Mayville, but Natchitoches, Louisiana is not, New Orleans by any means, right?
Yeah,
Uh, the spotlight's on you, being a development guy, numbers speak in development on dollars and donors. So, wanted to set an immediate impact, and um, but again, I wasn't overseeing everything, right? Whereas even though I was at a smaller place, it's AD at Mayville, I was really just focused on the Rev Gen side.
yeah,
And so I don't want to say it was easier. Every place has its challenges and obstacles,
for sure.
but it was a little bit easier in the fact of I was just focused on the external side of things. I'm like, so just raise money and make sure our social media is good and promote. And don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, there's a lot of details that goes into that. Um, but I had help, and I'd been a leader, so I knew I kind of, help lead along that way. And the last thing I'll say, not to continue to hit it, but had great coaches, had great people under me in those external units that I loved working with, and we were able to accomplish some really good things together. So, I think about Mike McConaughey, legendary basketball coach at Northwestern State, who I think he's still there now, like kind of as a advisor on the university side. But man, he beat Iowa in the first round of the NCAA tournament one year. You know what I mean? Like as a small kid in rural Virginia, like I remember that game, saying to myself, "Where the heck is Northwestern State?" Right? And
Yeah.
then to be in that guy's office and pick his brain and learn from him, it was awesome, and I loved it. Again, great people in Natchitoches. I still got good buddies there who I talk to, and it was a really really good time. And you know, you always want to leave a place better than you found it. And I think even though I was there for a short time, I think I was able to do so.
Yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, speaking of where's this college from? It's like I'm a Kansas guy, so Kansas about 15 years ago lost to Richmond University in the tournament, and you're just like, I mean, I get it's Richmond, Virginia, but geez, yeah, you just
Only,
kind of,
only, only Spiders in Division One. I'm not going to
yeah,
brag on them. Though. I'm a
yeah,
VCU guy, so whatever.
no, exactly. But yeah, like you mentioned, you brought in the single largest gift in program history there, so that says a lot about you and your
Well,
character.
and I'll tell you, that was not. I helped initiate. I helped cultivate that initially, but that was not just all me.
Hmm.
That was a joint effort. Ultimately closed by the next AD that came in when I left. Yeah, it was anywhere, right? It's massive to develop relationships, authentic relationships, and get people on board with common goal. And
Yeah,
for me personally, going to bat for student athletes in an athletic program that's so pure, it drives me every day. And
yeah.
so, being able, whether it was to help secure their biggest gift ever, or what I did at Mayville to Rice to what I'm doing today, I'm lucky, man. It's special. It's hectic, but it's
Yeah.
special.
Yeah, no, I'll keep bragging on you because you go to Rice and you get the most donors in a fiscal year, and then you raise the most money since 2017, and at this time this was 2022 or 2021.
All the years run together. Let's see,
Yeah,
2.5 years ago. So it was, or excuse me, 3 years ago now. So it was July, yeah, about 3 years ago, give or take a couple weeks.
yeah. So you get the most donors in a fiscal year, most money raised since 2017, and then a record-breaking day of giving. So you seem to be on the development side. You seem to be nailing it.
Yeah, no, like I said, it's fun to develop relationships, and although the places change, the divisions change, right? People love, who they support, their alma mater, where they played, or the local school that that they support. I think why do we all love college sports, right? Because there's such an affinity there, and so I really enjoyed myself being able to meet people that had so much passion about a specific place. So externally, Rice kind of had that chip on their shoulder. Their motto is Rice fight never dies, right? And academically, Rice is best of the best. I mean,
Yeah.
it's I couldn't have gotten in there.
Yeah.
I'll make that clear,
No,
right?
I wouldn't have
So,
been able either.
well, that's all right. Not many of them. I think they have a 7% acceptance rate, but to be there, not only externally developing relationships with just unbelievable folks that have done so many amazing things, not only while they possibly played there, but what they do today in life, the impact they make. Um, they're a wealth of knowledge, and you gravitate towards that, and you tell them what you're trying to do for Rice student athletes, and I think people get energized by that. And you have that going externally, and then again internally, when you love coming to work today. My development team was amazing. I had such good folks that I was able to help lead and dare I say shape a bit. We rocked and rolled. We worked really, really hard.
Yeah. Stats don't lie.
Yeah, but we had a good time doing it, and we were very forward facing with our development team there. But again, it all starts with great leadership, and Tanner Gardner. I can't say enough about that guy. He's already done amazing things at Pepperdine and Malibu, and I know that'll continue. And Joe Carlgard, who I still talk to regularly, and Tommy McClellan, who I still talk to regularly as well. I mean, I've just been lucky to learn from really bright, experienced go-getters, and I'm not bashful about trying to take things from all of them and kind of, dare I say, mold and create my own.
Yeah, no, for sure. That perfectly leads right into my question, and you're kind of answering it. But where does that creativity come from? You mentioned like you're bouncing off others, and just have good people around you. Is that all? Is there a background of your creativity that comes just from you?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I don't know, Ryan, how creative I am, but I'm pretty outgoing.
Yeah,
And so I've never met a stranger, right, as far as that. And so I think, you get going with ideas. I think back to my Mayville State days. My president and I did carpool karaoke for the Day of Giving, right? To some of the spoof videos to get people excited around Rice that I did with my development team, and interacting with student athletes to be able to do that. So, look, at the end of the day, it's not a special recipe. I think you have to have in any success, not just development, but I'm kind of out of development now for the most part. So I think you have to have a crazy work ethic. I think you got to be passionate and love what you do. And I think you got to be a servant leader. I think you have to surround yourself not only with good people, but people that are better than you in other aspects. My AD, Chris Davis. That guy, his mind just rolls, and it's really good. He's the creative and the innovative kind of guy. I'm more, I don't want to say rigid, but like, can we execute this? Well, what do you think about this? He's a bit of the dreamer that makes it a reality, and it's my job to kind of help him craft that to what we're able to do here at Georgia Southern.
yeah. So now you're at Georgia Southern. It's a lot more overseeing with being executive deputy. What describe your leadership style? Describe how you kind of oversee everyone. You're overseeing marketing. You're overseeing just a lot of departments and stuff. So describe your leadership and how you kind of operate.
Yeah, well, so for starters, overseeing stuff. So, naturally as COO, you oversee a lot of the internal, right?
Yeah.
And other than, I was seeing everything at Mayville as the AD, but on a much smaller level. So a great opportunity for me to kind of continue to build that resume and see that side of things. So, I'm overseeing a lot of different stuff on the internal side. It's contracts, it's the HR liaison, it's capital projects, it's facilities, student athlete development, um, you know, a lot outside of compliance and sports medicine, to be honest with you, on the internal side, and then externally everything that I'm pretty used to. Ticketing, marketing, sponsorships, licensing, and not overseeing development though, right? That's its own job. So, yeah, overseeing a lot, but I'm pretty organized and I'm a go-getter and I'm a good communicator, I like to think. So was just really excited about this opportunity. And like anything, takes a little time to kind of get the wheels turning faster. But we are rolling now, and owe a big credit to Chris for kind of leaning, allowing me to lean on him and still do for a lot of things. I haven't seen my first
Mhm.
football season here
Yeah.
yet, right? So in addition, overseeing all sport admin and being the sport admin for men's golf and football, which couldn't be more fired up about this fall. Won't to just talk football with you, but can't
Yeah.
wait to Coach Helton and the boys do this fall. But so overseeing a lot, but wouldn't have it any other way. And when I came here to interview, it felt like a great fit. It felt like home, knowing again just who Chris is and his work ethic and how hard he's worked for the opportunity that he now has to lead this department. It was just kind of like roll up the sleeves, like, all right, let's go. And we've done some awesome stuff here already. We're doing a $10 million baseball project right now at JI Stadium. We are remodeling and updating 3 different locker rooms right now. We're rebranding our old volleyball and basketball arena for just volleyball, because our men and women's basketball are now in our beautiful brand new convocation center, which serves as home for our men and women's basketball. So a lot
Awesome.
going on the facility side, a lot going on with Rev Gen and this new wave of college athletics,
Hmm.
all the way down to our external side of, we had our first 912 night, right? That's our area code here. And we take great pride in the borough, Statesboro, Georgia. So, we had dollar hot dogs, $2 drinks, and $9 tickets, which was pretty cool. So,
Nice. Nice.
but again, it's not me. It's the people that I'm surrounded by that have been here that I lean on. But being a part of something bigger than yourself and a great culture, and just that constant idea throwing communication, making sure we're proactive and not reactive is very important. The last thing I'll say, mentioned, and sorry if I back went off on a
No,
tangent a
no,
little
keep
bit,
going.
but what kind of leader am I? So I kind of mentioned it. First thing I'd say is a servant leader, right? You're strong as the people around you, and you want to surround yourself with people that are better than you in certain areas while displaying your leadership, which is something that I've kind of been able to do from an early age, and that I continue to develop every day. I think with that said, you got to be a hybrid leader. Okay, you gotta have that servant leadership, but then know when to be uh, transactional, transformational, and authoritative, right? And I'm not just trying to throw big words, right? I'm going to break it down.
Yeah.
From a transactional standpoint, you got to put your goals in place, right? You're a development guy, so from a development standpoint, it's like, hey, that you put it on the board. Here's our goals for the year: dollars, donors, this how plan of attack. And every day we're going to see who does what, and we're going to get there together, but we're going to hold each other accountable. That's transactional, right? That's like, hey, here's the goal, go do it. Transformational, and this is where I think I've developed into a strong leader, is as a young guy. I think as a head wrestling coach, trying to be the best team in the state of Virginia and get on a national map. I was so worried about being that transactional leader
Hmm.
that I didn't realize, and it gets better every day as I get older and wiser and more mature. Because at 23, you think you know it all, right?
Yeah.
But the transformational side of the impact that you're leaving with your people, right, and the transformation that they make as they continue to grow in a specific field or on a specific team to become leaders. And so you know, it's a silly example, but my 11-year-old son is a big time wrestler, right? Big time wrestler.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he loves it and he works really hard. But he's a lot like Dad. He loves wrestling, but he loves winning, right? And I'm like, bud, just make sure you're enjoying it. You're gonna win. It's always gonna be somebody better than you. You're always gonna be better than somebody. It's
Yeah.
it's the journey. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But sometimes if he's working on a new move, whether I'm showing him or another coach or whatever, it's like, man, he hits that so good. That's a win for the day, right? But if he didn't win the match, but he hit a good move, I'm like, hey, head up, you worked hard. Really liked how you hit that Kilgore switch, right? He's focused on the transaction and not the transformation, right?
Yeah.
So even that's a 11-year-old, but even as a leader in college athletics, I think it's important to celebrate the wins. That's something that our AD talks about a lot here at Georgia Southern, is celebrate the wins. And he does such a phenomenal job with that. And that's something that I try to model and really pay attention to as well. The last thing I'll say is the authoritative leadership. Leadership, you hear this all the time. Sometimes leadership is lonely, right? And I won't go on a huge spiel, but it's about making the right decision, not always the popular decision. With that said, I'm not a cutthroat guy or anything like that, but it's not about me, right? It's about the who you're working for, right? And obviously my boss, but Georgia
Yeah.
Southern Athletics, and what puts Georgia Southern Athletics and our student athletes in the best position to not only succeed but flourish, right? And as you keep that at the forefront of your focus, sometimes you got to be an authoritative leader and make an unpopular decision or have a tough conversation. And it's not fun, it's not easy, but those are some of the things. And sometimes, you get to make decisions everybody loves. Those are the fun ones,
Yeah.
right? Because everybody
Yeah.
likes
Yeah,
them.
for
But
sure.
so it's hard and it's lonely at times. But I try my best every day to kind of do a hybrid of that based off the relationships I've had to be the best I can be.
Yeah, I think it's important to stay hybrid, and each situation's obviously going to be different, especially like you mentioned before, the new era of NIL and the uncertainty before, but now everything's kind of laid out, so you can kind of this project you're going to be more authoritative, or this project you're going to be more transactional. It kind of just goes with what's coming at you. So I think you just nailed that on the head.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're smart.
Do you guys have you not to go into any details or anything, but have you experienced any challenges with NIL, or have you kind of see through that lens with in this past in 6 months, I guess, at Georgia Southern?
No challenges at all. We're at that cap. We're at that 20.5 with every P4 in America. I'm kidding. Of course, we have
I was gonna
yeah,
call you out right there.
yeah. No, yeah, no. It's challenging, but again, keep it broad stroke. I think you got to be, you know, learn from a young age, be comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? And if you're not growing and adapting, you're not going to last in this business. Our AD just said that not too long ago in a exec staff meeting, right? And I'm a firm believer in that. So, yeah, I mean, we obviously opted in, and I think there's room for our student athletes to benefit as they should, while also staying competitive. You got to get creative. We got to figure out some things like anybody budgetarily. It was from a collective standpoint, and now it's bringing that in house under our development shop and continue to grow that. And so, broad stroke, I'll say you got to adapt. I think we've done a good job, but while adapting to that, you also have to understand the culture, right? And you can adapt, and I don't care if you do hit that cap, right, or you're not on that end of it and on the other end and playing with it. You have to establish who you are and stay true to that, and establish an unbelievable culture. It's not just for RevShare, right? That's for any team or successful business and that's what we're doing here at Georgia Southern.
Yeah.
We've brought our Eagle Nation Collective, and we've turned it into our Eagle Nation Fund, which is another branch to give under our development shop. And we have been successful with that and want to continue to be for our student athletes to be able to benefit off of that while still creating the true student athlete experience here at Georgia Southern. So has been change, of course. Have we embraced it? Yes. Are we going to continue to be competitive and continue to grow on it and try to win Sun Belt championships and get to national tournaments? Absolutely. So it's been good. It's been different. But again, you got to be proactive and not reactive, and you'll be just fine. And I love where we're at and where we're going with it.
Yeah, for sure. I'll for sure be looking out for you guys in the Sun Belt Conference this year, and
Yeah.
definitely we'll be watching some Georgia Southern games, and
Thank
hopefully
you.
you're gonna be on the sideline.
Well, I'll be honest with you, as football admin, I'm going to be all over the place, leading all the hops. So probably at some point, but I'll probably be running around crazy. But I'll make a deal with you. You want to come to the prettiest little stadium in America, Paulson
Yeah,
Stadium, here in
yeah,
Statesboro, Georgia. I'll take care of you.
perfect. I'm gonna make my way down there by some way or somehow. I
Come
will.
on.
Well,
Come
for
on, we'll
sure.
take care of you.
Yeah, I'll have to get a little road trip going with myself or maybe a friend too. But
There you go.
yeah, just to round this out, Ryan, I appreciate you taking the time for me. It's a really big step that I'm able to, or you're able to kind of talk for an hour or so. And
Yep.
this has been awesome. I kind of just want to round it out with just some personal maybe questions, just for advice for myself is. Say you're a 22-year-old right now in this situation of college sports or with the NIL, and you're wanting to go down kind of the same rabbit hole that you did in your career. And if I were to follow, what advice would you give, and how would you look out for yourself?
Yeah, I think I kind of hit on it, Ryan. When I was 22, again, I want to be a head wrestling coach and a private high school AD. And if things naturally change, if your goals change as mine did, that's okay. But I'll say, so, if I was about to get into college athletics when NIL came, I wouldn't change anything. And I wouldn't have gotten in college athletics earlier. Like I love my time as a high school AD and head wrestling coach, and that was special. Just like what I'm doing now is special, and everything in between. I think you blaze your own path, but I also think, man, if you want something, go get it. You know what I mean? Like what's holding you back? And so that mentality of just believing and chasing a dream and making it a reality, you can do it, right? And so one of my favorite quotes, having dreams in life is what makes life tolerable, right? From Rudy. So there's going to be changes and stuff, but if you really want to pursue something, don't let that push you away, right? I think we have an unbelievable opportunity to shape college athletics as leaders the next 5 to 10 years, right?
Yeah,
Is it a
yeah,
challenge? You're daggone right, it's a challenge. But when you have challenge, you have opportunity, right? And that excites me. And so I think I'm lucky to be in this position and lean on folks that I've worked with and Chris Davis and even my team here, right? But we can shape something that's so vital and so important to our student athletes nationwide and all the fans that love college athletics. What does that look like? It's not a bad thing or a Debbie Downer or anything, right? I think it's innovation, it's change, it's improvement, and how can we continue to push that?
yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. No, that's great advice, and that was amazing. What was down there 6 months? What do we got going on outside of the work?
Outside the work, wow. Well, I'm taking the family and I'm taking off tomorrow. I'm
There we
taking a
go.
day off
There
tomorrow,
we
and
go.
we're going to go to Atlanta to
Nice.
watch our beloved Yankees take on the Braves.
Let's go.
So catch a game and hang out in Atlanta for the day. But no, man. I mean, outside of work, it's as I tell my kids, it's faith, family, and fun. And it's going to be faith, family, and football here soon for me.
Yep.
But with that said, yeah, man, I think any opportunity I get, like I said, my wife and I, we have four now, 11, 10, 5, and 3, boy, girl, boy. So they keep me busy. And any outside time I have from work, man, I like hanging with my wife and kids that have believed in me and have sacrificed so much for me to be where I am today as I continue to go down this path. So hang with them, man. If I'm not working in sports, I'm watching sports or
Yeah.
playing with my kids. So it consumes us. We're not.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's I feel like that's everyone. If you're not working, you're watching it. So that's exactly
That's
what I
it.
do as well. So unfortunately your Yankees took out my Royals last year in the playoffs. Don't even think we're gonna be back in the playoffs this year, which kind of
Well, we're
sucks.
not we're not looking real strong either. So Cashman has some work to do before the trade deadline. We'll see what
Yeah,
shakes out.
we do too. We do too for sure. But I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for the time today. It was a pleasure. It was always great to talk to another Ryan.
Ryan, anytime, buddy. I hope that helped and
Yeah.
helps
Yeah.
young folks that are either new in the industry or wanting to get in the industry, but believe in yourself, have a passion, have a work ethic, surround yourself around great people, and get after it.
All right. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.